Freakies, we are the Freakies, and this is our Freakies tree. We never miss a meal, cause we love our cereal.
Well, one of the first things that I really want to do, that I've been waiting a long time to do in person, is personally thank you on behalf of the many children whose lives you brightened up with the Freakies. I remember the first time I called you on the phone.
You know, it was so weird that day that you called me. I couldn't believe what you were saying. I mean, that there was like a Freakies magazine and there were people interested in being in a fan club and stuff. I had no idea people were so influenced by the Freakies.
And I also want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to meet with me and talk about the who, what, where, when, why, how, and everything else about Freaky cereal. I guess something that a lot of people wonder about Freakies is how you came up with the concept of Freakies.
I think a lot of the times after Freakies was launched and it was on the air and people saw it, people asked me if I was stoned or drunk when I came up with it. But I wasn't. I was sitting at my desk. And I remember thinking that when I was a kid, I loved monsters, and that kids hadn't changed. I used to watch Saturday morning cartoon shows and stuff. And originally, Freakies was going to be like a Frosted Flake. So my first name was Freaky Flakes. And then they changed it to an extruded cereal, more like a Cheerios kind of thing. And so we just changed it. I changed it to Freakies. And I found that there were like, the word freaky was really great because you could come up with other things like for the story on the package back that I wrote when they come over from the old world, they come over on the Freaky Flower. You know, I think one of the premiums was made from freakium, a very special metal called freakium, and the magnets were Freakus magneticus. So we just got to use the word freaky in a lot of different ways. It was fun.
You're obviously quite young today, and so you must have really, really been young then when you created the Freakies.
I guess I was, I don't know, 23 or 24. Well, when I first went to Wells Rich Green, I really went as a junior writer. And then I went to another agency as an associate creative director, which in advertising agencies, that's kind of supervisory position. I'm a copywriter, so I'm on the writing side of the thing. And then I went to several other agencies, you know, I did the Bic Banana when I was at Wells. But then, right, the famous Bic Banana, and the Bic Banana ink crayons, which you evidently had a lot of, too. And then I got some other jobs, and now I'm the executive creative director of an agency.
You know, I think a lot of people would really be interested to know exactly how you came up with the idea.
It was a new product thing, and traditionally new products have a high mortality rate. And I don't think anybody was taking the assignment particularly seriously, so they gave it to me, because, you know, it wasn't that important. So I was off and running, and I had fun. I made up all this stuff, and it was, you know, I mean, it was just, I just had a great time, and I never thought it would go anywhere. I mean, it was the kind of thing where the odds are 200 to 1 it'll go anywhere. So I'm off in my office writing all this insulting stuff about the people I work with, and I have no idea it's going to get on the air. And lo and behold, they test the concept with kids, and it goes through the roof. It's like, gets a better score than Captain Crunch got when it was tested and all this stuff, and I'm amazed. And you know what was interesting? You know the way they test this stuff with kids? They have different age ranges, so the younger kids are nonverbal, and what they do is, I saw the test sheet, they have, you know those faces like that stupid have a nice day face? You know, like smiley faces? Then the smile is less, then it's like a straight line, then it's like. And what they do is they make the kids color in the face that best describes how they feel about the commercial or about, you know, the characters. And that's how they did the testing on this thing. It was really interesting.
You know, the thing that I remember the most about the Freakies was the television commercials.
So the way the commercials were structured was that we started with the discovery of the Freakies tree, and that sort of introduced the notion of the cereal and the character.
This is the story of the Freakies and their perilous search for a home. The leader of the Freakies was the fearless Boss Moss. Whenever the Freakies had a problem, they ran to Boss Moss.
We're afraid.
I understand exactly how you feel.
He never solved the problem, but he was always understanding. At last they came upon a wonderful tree, which which grew their favorite cereal, Freakies.
Oh, happy day.
Every morning, the cereal would ripen in the sun, becoming toasty and sugary and golden with vitamins.
What are you, scavenger or something?
And they knew they had found a home.
Oh!
I wonder what the taxes are like here.
Freakies is part of a good breakfast, and you get a free Freaky magnet in specially marked boxes.
I think that was actually a 60-second commercial, and we went to LA to do it, and it was full animation, and it actually won some international awards, and for years was shown at the Museum of Modern Art.
I read in the article that you sent me that you based these characters on real people. Can you tell me something about that?
Well, all the characters, as I told you before, are based on people that worked at the agency at the time. But Goody Goody always reminded me of this girl I knew in grade school who would ask to copy your homework, and then when the teacher asked a question, she'd raise her hand and say, "Pick me, pick me." So not only was she content to steal your homework, but she'd try to get the credit for it, too. That's sort of Goody Goody. She's a ass kisser. And she's always sucking up to Boss Moss, and she's good-hearted, but she's annoying. Boss Moss was based on Charlie Moss, who was the creative director of the agency at the time, and it really is his character. He, in the first commercial, I think, if you remember the dialogue, it says, whenever the Freakies had a problem, they ran to Boss Moss. And he never solved the problem, but he was always understanding. Charlie could be fairly ineffectual, and he was always really sweet about problems he couldn't solve, but he was somewhat ineffectual sometimes. And I remember, because nobody thought this thing was a serious project, and they just gave it to me, and nobody sort of paid attention, and I was off and running and doing this stuff. And the first commercial aired in New York in those days, and he called me into his office Monday morning and was really annoyed with me because he'd seen the commercial on the air with his kid. And the kid knew that Boss Moss was his father. And he said, "You just told the whole nation that I'm ineffectual, and you did it in front of my kid. How could you do this to me?" And I said, "Well, I offered to show you the commercial before it went on air, but you didn't want to be bothered." So the others we did in New York. And the second commercial was called Personalities. And in the first commercial, we sort of started to reveal the personalities of the characters through their dialogue and the way they talked and the way they looked. And then in the second spot, we went a little bit further and developed their characters even more.
I like Freaky cereal because it tastes good, and I ought to know I'm the boss.
Oh, so it has a lot of vitamins. Ooh.
Indubitably, this is a very crunchy cereal. Very worthy. Super eminent.
What is he saying?
I don't know.
And I like Freaky cereal because it's sugary and sweet, like me.
You too can have crunchy, sugary, Freaky cereal every morning.